Guys, your initial reaction to this story?
Yeah,
Wow.
It really...
we had different reactions.
Yeah, Mika obviously very excited about it. I will just say what Republicans have said for now 30, 40 years. We've been done in again by a Republican appointee. I mean, it just keeps happening to us. Gene, I really, seriously, we really are Charlie Brown, who keeps thinking we're going to kick that football.
Yeah,
but Republican appointees always do. This, I mean, Gene, seriously, though, you heard the talk on the Senate floor from Ted Cruz. I mean, this is and many others. This is going to be seen as a conservative betrayal for years to come. But make no mistake of it, John Roberts and Barack Obama, who started out on the wrong foot to say the least, they will forever be intertwined in history with ACA.
But I think they will, and in fact, Roberts' decision, if you read the opinion, is it puts this law on a stronger footing than it was before. It establishes Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, as part of the fabric of American life.
And the signature of this presidency has just been signed.
And the legacy.
The legacy of this president.
I think they affirmed the legacy of Barack Obama. I think that it was a great decision, as you would probably guess.
I am in the distinct minority
but
here.
I also think that Republicans should be happy because if you had 6.4 million people that didn't have coverage going into the election, what were you going to do?
Exactly, and that is for Republican politicians on the Hill. They're going to say we're shocked, we're stunned, we're deeply saddened. But now they're going to go, thank God we can talk about this on the campaign trail, and we don't actually have to come up to an alternative.
Exactly.
Willie, it's the height of cynicism. But for a Republican Party that has not put forward a single comprehensive health care plan over the past 3 or 4 years that Americans can get around, or that the party can even get around, this actually allows them to scream and shout and not do anything.
Well, the president's law is now safe, at least through his term, although John Boehner, Ted Cruz, and others have vowed to continue to fight, however long that takes. I want to show you a photograph on the front page of the New York Times. This is President Obama and Vice President Biden celebrating arm in arm there. There were a lot of pictures like that coming out of the White House of celebrations. They feel like President Obama's legacy is now intact. And as I mentioned a moment ago, President Obama did talk about all this in the Rose Garden yesterday.
Today, after more than 50 votes in Congress to repeal or weaken this law, after a presidential election based in part on preserving or repealing this law, after multiple challenges to this law before the Supreme Court, the Affordable Care Act is here to stay.
Let's bring in national political correspondent for Bloomberg Politics here in New York, Phil Mattingly. Phil, the president, I understand, had 2 speeches prepared, one written by his chief speechwriter, Cody Keenan. One, if the law went down. The other was the one he was able to deliver yesterday.
And he actually signed that first one, something along the lines of, we didn't need this one, brother. Cody worked on both speeches, the chief speechwriter. What I thought was most interesting were actually 2 things, Willie. First, large parts of the president's remarks yesterday sounded a lot like what he said in 2012 in the wake of the Supreme Court decision. It's time to move on. It's time to move forward. This is the law of the land. It's time to accept it. I think this time it's probably a little bit more concrete than it was in 2012. The other thing was the president put into words what we've been told from White House officials for the better part of the last 4 or 5 years. This law, the longer it stays in place, becomes more a part of the fabric of the United States of America. He compared it to Social Security. He compared it to Medicare. Their long belief inside the White House is if this law is allowed to stay in place for a long period of time, it will become a central component of American life. It'll become a central component of how people just live. And then acceptance will follow. You heard the president talk about that yesterday. That's their hope going forward. Obviously, Republicans and many who are concerned about the law disagree with that entirely. But I think the feeling inside the White House, besides jubilation, is that this is finally happening. They can finally relax a little bit about whether or not it's going to be taken apart and just work on actually implementing it properly.
Joe, President Obama and his team have been working on this idea that became an act, that became a law since before he was elected president, and now they feel like it's locked in for a long time.
Yesterday was the first time I'm sure that they could exhale. I've got to say also, this was a great day, Willie, guys, for Scalia, who actually will forever be remembered. Who was the general that said nuts when he was told to retreat, and his one-word response was nuts? Scalia's one-word response to the majority opinion, Applesauce.
There you go.
Applesauce.
I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means.
Well, it's good for you.
It is a great dissent.
Let's get a couple more stories in here.
It is. But you really can't overstate, Mika, the significance of yesterday's decision.
It's huge.
This is going to go down. And I've just got to say, at least over the next 30, 40 years, unless the Republicans all get elected and wipe this out, which is very unlikely to happen, this is going to go down as one of the most significant decisions over the past 20, 30 years.
It's changed the dynamic of this presidency and, as you said, the legacy. Want to get to the race to 2016?